All right, you primitive screwheads, listen up. I got news for you, pal. You ain't leading but two things right now. Jack and shit. Jack left town. Well, hello, Mr. Fancy Pants.
What was that ruckus? What ruckus? I was just in my office and I heard a ruckus.
Describe the ruckus, sir.
Does this mean we're not friends anymore? I'm in my prime.
You're out of your mind. Ain't it cool?
First you want to kill me, now you want to kiss me. Blow. Good. Bad. I'm the guy with the gun.
What's up, everyone? DJ Anubis here with you on the Meltdown Radio podcast, doing my top 10 Ray Harryhausen flicks. For those that don't know, Ray Harryhausen was a stop motion special effects creator, and he was the man behind what is known as Dynamation. And he started out very young. He was inspired by Will O'Brien, who did the stop motion for King Kong 1933, and actually talked with Will O'Brien and got some pointers. And O'Brien says, you need to go do some graphic school, hone your skills, which Harryhausen did, because Harryhausen was still a teen when he was inquiring to O'Brien about how he was doing what he was doing on film. So Ray would go do that and become like a long staple throughout the 60s, 70s, and early 80s as stop motion photography and animation. So the funny thing about it all was, even as a kid watching something like Clash of the Titans, I never realized how much work went into creating these monsters and creatures that would move on screen. Like, I always kind of thought, like, well, what is this, animatronics? Is this people in suits? Because, they kind of use a little bit of all of that throughout the years in filmmaking. But for Ray, you have to understand it took more than that. It took, if you had a statue or a model figure of, say, the Kraken, and, if you're watching the Kraken on screen for about a minute or two, it takes you hours to get that Kraken to do all those movements. So I talked about this on Silver Screen Savants, I think, and I've talked about it also with the Golden Voyage of Sinbad when Kevin Lemon and I did a review for that if you think about when you would like get a book and you would draw, like, on each page on the corner, you would draw like a figurine, and then like maybe a figurine pulling a sword, but it's just done in pieces, and you just keep going. And then when you flip the book, it starts motion for what you drew. So it becomes something that you created, like a stop motion picture. So that's sort of like how stop motion animation works. It's like you have to move the arm this way, or the head has to tilt this way, but it's like inches, or not even inches, but just millimeters. And it just took forever. Like, it takes hours. And I remember Ray saying that sometimes to get one shot of a creature in Clash may have taken 200 hours to create. And, we think about it in terms of time and money now in the modern age of filmmaking, that it's not really reasonable or efficient with the money when doing stop motion, but the reality is it really was a mastercraft on how to create creatures without using CGI or anything else. And so we can argue all day about CGI and whether or not it's good or bad. And I'll say this. So when we think about Godzilla, King of the Monsters, or even the films after it, or 2014 or whatever, CGI looks amazing, right? But think about back to 2010 when they remade Clash of the Titans and the CGI they used there and how shitty it was. It's a vast difference. And even still with the stuff that we see today, we can say to ourselves, man, I do miss those suitmations from Godzilla or whatever. But this, at the time that Ray was alive, he died in 2013 at the age of 92. So he lived a pretty great life there with that. But during that golden age when he was in filmmaking, that was some of the best stuff you'd ever seen, with some of the best movies you'd ever seen, especially as a kid for me. So I'm going to give you the 10 films that I feel are the best of what he was involved with at the time. You know, he wasn't really a director, but he was always heavily involved, especially I think his first film that he actually had full control of the animation was Beast from 20,000 Fathoms. So I'm going to give you my top 10 list of the films that I really love from his era of filmmaking as far as like the animation that he did. And we're going to start off with number 10. And that is, of course, Mighty Joe Young, which is from 1949. And so a brief synopsis of that is: a young woman who has raised a giant gorilla from an infant brings him to Hollywood years later, seeking her fortune. Directed by Ernest B. Schoedsack, and stars, excuse me, Terry Moore, Ben Johnson, and Robert Armstrong. So Mighty Joe Young was definitely like the kind of like almost heir apparent to a little bit of, you know, King Kong and Congo and stuff like that. So certainly a nice early introduction to some of the work there you can see with the gorilla. And then I don't know if this was a real, I don't think it was a real lion either. I think that actually was another stop motion creature, if I recall. So I'd have to double check on that, but just from the way it was shot, it looks so amazing with the stop motion there with that. At number 9, from 1955, It Came from Beneath the Sea. And, you know, again, Hausen showing his chops with this creature effects. And I'm going to give you a little bit of a clip of that one. And this is directed by Robert Gordon, stars Kenneth Tobey, Faith Domergue, and Donald Curtis. And synopsis of this film is: a giant radioactive octopus rises from the Philippine Trench to terrorize the North American Pacific coast. And so again, this is actually the color version of the film. There is a black and white version, but they did colorize it at one point. And really, you know, the model creation is very detailed here. It's actually been a very long time since I'd seen this film, but if you're just looking at the clip here, it's just very, very cool looking. You got the glistening on the suction cup things there. And I don't know, I think that's a really, really great looking octopus. And again, Hausen was always very detailed oriented with the stuff that he had. All right. At number 8, 1 million years BC. And this, of course, is a film that features dinosaurs, stuff like that. We got this Triceratops as well, but I think it's a Ceratosaurus or almost an Allosaurus type creature. This also starred the lovely, lovely Raquel Welch, which was like a sex symbol at the time. Director John Chafee, stars Raquel Welch, John Richardson, and Percy Herbert. Synopsis is of this: prehistoric man Tumak is banished from a savage tribe, meets pretty Lona, who belongs to a gentler coastal tribe, but he must fight caveman Peto to win her favors. This is kind of funny because this reminds me so much of a comedy done years later in the 80s called Caveman with Johnny Ringo and also Barbara Bach, which kind of deals with a similar theme. So that's kind of funny that it kind of mirrors some of this. So that might have been like a play on this film, to be honest. So that wouldn't shock me at all if that's what it was based upon at that time. Number 7, The Seventh Voyage of Sinbad. And so we talked about this on Silver Screen Savants with me and Olvin when we reviewed Jack the Giant Killer, and how this particular Cyclops creature is kind of mimicked after the one in Jack the Giant Killer. So certainly you see some similarity there. And there's talk that they initially wanted guys like Ray to do that film, but you know, he came to do this one, of course, instead. I think Dan Forth is the one that actually did Jack the Giant Killer. So yeah, The Seventh Voyage of Sinbad, 1958. When a princess is shrunken by an evil wizard, Sinbad must undertake a quest to an island of monsters to cure her and prevent a war. Directed by Nathan Duran and stars Kerwin Matthews, Catherine Grant, and Richard Eyre. So I think Matthews is also in Jack the Giant Killer. If I'm trying to remember, it's been, even though I just did this review on that the other day, I'm pretty sure I recognize that name. And I do think there was a tie-in between the two films. All right. Let's see. We are at number 6. Haven't seen this in quite a while, but I do really, really remember this, and it's a unique take on dinosaurs, and that is the Valley of Gwangi, which also has some like cowboys, as you can see the cover art there, and different stuff like that. Very, very interesting take on this type of genre. And we have from 1969, The Valley of Gwangi, directed by Jim O'Connelly, stars James Franciscus, Gila Golan, and Richard Carlson. Synopsis is: a cowboy named Tuck Kirby seeks fame and fortune by capturing an Allosaurus living in a Mexican valley and putting it in a Wild West show. His star attraction, called the Gwangi, turns out to have an aversion to being shown in public. So yeah, I like that aversion. But yeah, look at the stop motion here between the dinosaurs. Like, it's just so amazing. But you have to understand just how much fucking work goes into this. It's so insanely crazy. But so masterfully done. The tail whips and, you know, the biting each other and the horns. And it's just so crazy how great the detail is that Ray was able to accomplish with this. It's just so fucking amazing to me. All right. Number 5, The Beast from 20,000 Fathoms. And yes, I know the running joke that I've had on my channel, as well as some of my collaborators with Big Bad Wolf. So we went to G-Fest a year or so ago. Had a chance to meet Big Bad Wolf, Sci-Fi Century, Kevin Lambert and all them, Walter Ross, etc. And, you know, obviously they have vendors there. So it's like very, very nice. A lot of great stuff for G-Fest and Godzilla stuff and monsters. I picked up this poster actually from there. But Big Bad Wolf picked up a figurine of the Rhedosaurus from The Beast from 20,000 Fathoms. And, you know, it's kind of pricey for, you know, anybody, but he had the money. So it's good. You know, there's no problem there with that. So I always tease him. I'm like, when are you going to send that to me? Because I had seen it when we were browsing, along with a very nice Ghidorah. They had a nice Rodan, just a lot of different things, but just too pricey for me and my blood. But I always tease him, like, you know, you need to kind of send that over here, just like I've been teasing Kevin about his latest Shimu figurine. But yeah, definitely at number 5, The Beast of 20,000 Fathoms is certainly going to be high on my list. It's one of my favorite films, really, from Ray and them. 1953, directed by Eugene Lurie, stars Paul Huberschmid, Paula Raymond, and Cecil Kellaway. And the synopsis is: a ferocious dinosaur awakened by the Arctic atomic test terrorizes the North Atlantic and ultimately New York City. New York City? Yeah, New York City. And yeah, I always love the look of the creature. The plot is great. It's not so much in this particular clip, but there's a clip of the Rhedosaurus eating the octopus and shark that are fighting on screen, and shows you the size difference between those little creatures and the Rhedosaurus. So like, it's just so awesome looking and greatly and well shot. Always loved that. Number 4, 1963's Jason and the Argonauts. And yep, another great fun film movie, especially along the lines of when you were watching like Sinbad movies and stuff like that. Certainly one of my favorites of that era. Directed by Don Chaffee, stars Todd Armstrong, Nancy Kovac, Gary Raymond. And synopsis is: the legendary Greek hero leads a team of intrepid adventurers in a perilous quest for the legendary Golden Fleece. And the thing about this particular scene is just the skeletons that Ray was able to bring to life. Multiple things going on, just so much. And like, I still to this day, I don't, because you have to understand, the actors aren't really fighting these creatures. These are all done differently, and they're just kind of inserted. So the fact they're able to do this and shoot it the way they did is quite fucking amazing for its time. It's a lot of work, man. Like, I can't tell you enough, like, just how much they say the work that goes into doing all this stuff. All right, number 3. Recently reviewed this on Cinematic Synergy with Kevin Lambert, and that is, of course, The Golden Voyage of Sinbad. Certainly one of my favorite films in the Sinbad series, which also features one of my favorite actresses, Carolyn Monroe. Came out in 1973, directed by Gordon Hessler. John Philip Law is starring in, as well as Carolyn Monroe and Tom Baker. Great actor there. Synopsis is: Sinbad, an advisor of Mariaba, followed by an evil magician Kura, seek the golden tablets that can gain them access to the ancient temple of the Oracle of All Knowledge. So in this particular scene, we got the Centaur and the Griffin that are fighting, but there's just so much more involved with these films, with different creatures, even from small to big, that are very outstanding work by Ray and what he was able to accomplish with this stuff. And yeah, it's just so much fun when I think about these films. Like, I love modern filming, obviously, certain things, whatever it's horror, the Godzilla stuff or whatever, but there is a piece of me that just sorely misses this golden age of filmmaking, because it just seems like so more raw and real, as Century would put it. It's like you can't really find that anymore with stuff like that. And so it's just a lot of fun to see what they were able to do with what they had to work with at the time. Number 2, the Sinbad and the Eye of the Tiger. The best of the group of Sinbad films, for sure, was some of the greatest work that Ray was able to do. And that came out in 1977, directed by Sam Wanamaker, stars Patrick Wayne, Jane Seymour, very lovely Jane Seymour, and Taryn Power. Synopsis is: Sinbad the sailor sails to deliver a cursed prince to a dangerous island in the face of deadly opposition from the powerful witch Zenobia, her son, and their several monsters. And yeah, so just amazing work. The saber-tooth there, and with the troglodyte, great fight, just so well done. totally love this scene, of course. It's actually in one of my clips for the cinematic synergy as well, some of this. So see what the kind of impact that it had on me as a kid growing up. So without a doubt, one of my favorites. Number one, probably gonna end up on a lot of people's number one list. It's really Ray's unicorn and pinnacle of his work as a Dynamation animation special effects creator, and that is 1981's Clash of the Titans. It's unmatched. The remake failed miserably to try to recapture that fun. And that just shows you sometimes how Hollywood is out of touch with what works and what doesn't. But yeah, that film is so much fun, great cast, a lot of great action from nonstop. So from 1981, Clash of the Titans, directed by Desmond Davis, stars Laurence Olivier, Harry Hamlin, Claire Bloom, and the synopsis is Perseus must battle Medusa and the Kraken to save the Princess Andromeda. And yeah, just everything from the Kraken in this to Medusa to there's a two-headed wolf. There's the scorpions that show up, Pegasus the horse. Just a lot going on in this film that Ray worked on. It just looks so beautifully mastered. It's hard for me to ever hate this film in any way possible. It's just not possible. And it's just such a great, great, great film. But yeah, that is my top 10 Ray Harryhausen films of all time in order. But he has other work that's equally as fun, just doesn't make my top 10. But yeah, I want you to let me know, where do some of these films fall on your list, or did I miss something that probably should have been in there more than another, or did I have them out of order? Are you not a big Clash of the Titans fan? Coming up, though, we do have a lot of stuff coming up on the Metal Time podcast channel, as well as some other channels that I'm a part of. One of the first ones later tonight, Kevin Lambert and I will be reviewing Cobrai Kai season 6. Now we're probably going to go ahead and talk a little bit about the previous seasons, even though he's never done any recaps on those. So we're not going to spend a whole lot of time on those, but I'm assuming we're going to talk a little bit about it just to set up how we got to season 6, and of course the films that were prior to Cobrai Kai and the one after. So there's a lot going on with Cobrai Kai beyond the series itself. So I'm sure that Kevin and I will be talking a lot about that tonight. And then later on, Silver Screen Savants will continue with Olvin, and we're got a couple special guests, as we're going to be doing Pathfinder from 2007 with Carl Urban and Clancy Brown. We'll also have special guests Sci-Fi Century and Gojira 851 joining us as well on that. Friday, you be on the lookout for my one-on-one with Alzilla as we do my Kaiju Spotlight for Gamera. And, a lot of people are excited about this one coming up, and he's a big, big fan of Gamera. I do love Gamera, obviously, but, I'm not near as the biggest fan as some other people are. But it's going to be fun talking with him about that. And, it's about time that Gamera got his due, and it's due for Gamera to come back in some sort of film. We kind of need it. Later on tomorrow night, I will once again be being a guest on Fat Samurai Guy's action film Autopsy with Rick Myers. And if you had followed me last couple of months, I had kind of filled in while Samurai was out, and me and Rick were talking about the movies and series that he'd been checking out. So they very nicely asked me to kind of join them, as regularly as I can. Why they do this, because it is a lot of fun to talk to him about stuff movie wise and whatnot. So Rick is a fantastic dude, has a lot of knowledge of films, and he's been around the industry for quite a while. And of course, Samurai, there's nothing I can say to enough love for that dude and what he's done for me personally as a content creator, and kind of bringing me into the fold under his wings a little bit, showing me the ropes. So many thanks to both of them for just, allowing me to share some of those moments with them on that show. We also will be later in the film or later in the podcast be talking about James Bond. Like, they're considering getting another Bond in there, and I think it's been taken over by Amazon or Disney. I can't remember which one, but it's certainly it's raised Rick's eyebrows. He's probably a little concerned about where it's going to go. We're going to talk about Bond in the past, present, and future. Maybe some of our films in that, and then what we would like to see maybe going forward. So that's going to be a nice, fun discussion. And I got a feeling that we all probably have different favorite Bonds. Maybe Rick and Samurai be on the same page. Not everybody likes the one that I like the most, but will be interesting to see how it goes and plays out. Let's see. Then on Saturday, I'll be on Kevin Lambert's channel for Into the Darkness Creature Feature, where we'll be reviewing Alligator 1 and 2, Crawl, which I think they're making a Crawl 2 now, and then, of course, Lake Placid. So that's going to be fun talking about those films. I already know which is my favorite of the bunch. And then later in the evening, another Silver Screen Savants. This time it's Oven's pick. And he's chosen The Mask of Zorro with Antonio Banderas, Catherine Zeta-Jones, and Anthony Hopkins. So that's going to be fun. We're going to do that. And then, of course, on Sunday, Cinematic Synergy returns as we do Kevin's pick of Dante's Peak. Nice little volcano movie. And to this day, it's a great movie. But to this day, there's an opening scene in that that's highly disturbing and really hits me in the gut every time. It's like when I go to rewatch it, I'm going to be like, maybe I should just fast forward because it's really disheartening what happens there. Because I did not expect that at all. Like, it just kind of caught me off guard. So, but it does a nice job of setting up the entire perception of Pierce Brosnan's character and whatnot. So certainly gonna be a fun chat. Also, I just want to go and give my condolences and my sadness to recent passings of Gene Hackman and his wife, which happened recently. And it's a weird story because he was found with his wife dead, and as well as their dog. Something, they say no foul play, but I don't know if it was a gas leak or did they get poisoned by something they ate or whatever. Were they just there for days and maybe the dog starved? We don't have much detail about what happened. It's just weird because everyone's dead. It's just really weird. And if it's not murder or suicide or anything, what's going on? Either way, Hackman was an amazing actor. A lot of great films like Unforgiven, the Superman movies, The Quick and the Dead, Hoosiers. The guy was just fucking brilliant as an actor and just so great. Then we also unfortunately lost Michelle Trachtenberg, whom I've known her through Buffy the Vampire Slayer series as Dawn, the younger sister in that series. And of course, she shows up as a character in my favorite remake of Black Christmas in 2006. So, great actress. They assume it had something to do with a liver transplant she had, but again, that's unclear. So yeah, it's just unfortunate, man. When stuff like that happens, and hopefully we get some clarification on both cases of what happened exactly. And may they rest in peace, and thank them for the work that they gave us, the enjoyment of entertainment they gave us as actors. So anyway, folks, hit the like and subscribe button if you enjoy the content. It's as always, much appreciated for the support. And I will have an unboxing soon that I'll be doing. I've got a few things. I'm still waiting on one more thing to come in later this week before I do my video on it, because I want to kind of just do it all at once. But yeah, when it shows up, I'll have that out. I'll continue to update everybody on the stuff that we're doing in terms of content and enjoy the rest of your night, man, and be on the lookout for us for the Cobrai Kai stuff and the Pathfinder. Pathfinder, I think I am going to do live. So for those that are around later this evening, if you want to jump in and chat with us, feel free to do that. Until then, I'll see you later. Take care.
You see me before you die.